anyone else. This program is meant for mature listeners, and some of the language and topics may not be suitable for younger or sensitive individuals. If you are easily offended or have a delicate constitution, you may want to turn the program off now. The host and the guests are welcome and encouraged to exercise their First Amendment rights as much as they want. This is a right to listen program, and as such, anyone for any reason at any time can stop listening by turning the program off. This program is here for the entertainment and hopefully some education. This will be accomplished through fact, fiction, sarcasm, and parody. Much like the mainstream media, we will try to verify information, but under no obligation to do so prior to releasing said information. Any references to specific individuals that may or may not have done something is strictly for a point of reference and most likely was based on something found on the internet. Use discretion when listening and always feel free to double check the information if you want. If Squatchy is screaming, then it's time to start streaming. Let's Talk It All with Jeff and Anvil tackle the paranormal, politics, community issues, and social justice events. Sit back, buckle up, and pay attention. Topics and conversations could change on less than a moment's notice.
And welcome to Let's Talk It All Special Edition here today, August 19th, 2020. Coming at you this afternoon. I want to get this in before tomorrow. The question we have is, why are New York casinos still on lockdown? Why are casinos still on lockdown? We have gone through phase 1. We've gone through phase 2. We've gone through phase 3. We did phase 4. We did phase 4.5. We did phase 4 3/4. We just did phase 4 7/8. Starting the 24th, they will be allowing gyms and bowling alleys and those kind of areas to open up at anywhere from 33 to 50% capacity. But the red-headed stepchild of New York State, the gaming industry, the New York State casinos are still on lockdown. Why is that? Why, other than Cuomo's answer that we would not be able to effectively police our own casinos, we would not enforce the rules. We would allow people to run willy-nilly and rampant without masks and not social distancing, and it was just too great a risk to trust the casinos to do their part in helping to control the COVID pandemic. And I think that's where we need to start our conversation today. Actually, you know what? I'm going to wait. I want to talk about some things. Tomorrow, the 20th of August at 11 o'clock, there will be a rally on the steps of the Albany Capitol of casino employees, casino patrons, casino vendors, anyone connected with the casino, and anyone that wants to show up is more than welcome. But right now, there will be a rally on the state capitol in Albany tomorrow, 11 to 1. And we're there to show Governor Cuomo that we are serious, that we need a better explanation than, gee, I can't trust the 5,000 plus employees of the New York State casinos. I'm sorry, that's just not a good enough answer. I've been out during this time period of phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think other people have been out through this phase. even during the lockdown, even during the pandemic lockdown at the start, Walmart was still open, Target was still open, and all these retailers. I got no problem with the retailers. Don't get me wrong, but um, I hate to burst anyone's bubble, but they weren't being as strict as you might think they should be. And if you can cram as many people as you can cram in Walmart on a Saturday afternoon, and it be okay, people handling things, people touching things, people picking things up, putting things down, uh, the whole 9 yards, the whole 9 yards. I don't see any sanitizing the carts still being done now. Once in a great while, they'll sanitize the conveyor belts. And again, I'm not here bashing retailers. I'm glad they were open. I'm glad we didn't have to do the crazy lockdown. Don't ever leave your home for the next 15, 25, 30 days, and you've just got to figure out what you're going to do for food and whatever else for that time period. I don't get me wrong. I'm not criticizing that, but I am saying that's what good's for the goose should be good for the gander as it is. And if you can have people at Walmart in the capacities that they're at Walmart and the numbers they're at Walmart, and if you can allow MTV Music Awards to be carried on in New York City, and if you can allow for peaceful protests, and if you can allow for the not so peaceful protests that are sometimes called riots to continue and go and take place not only in New York but across the nation, and yet turn to the people that are trying to abide by these rules and say, well, gee, you know what? Sucks to be you. You need to stay out of work. And, and I'm hoping, you can be fine with that. So tomorrow, August 20th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., West Capitol Park, 85 Swan Street, Albany. There will be a rally to open the casinos, reopen the casinos. They've been open, they got closed, and that's where we're at. So if you're in the area, stop by. If you got nothing better to go on tomorrow, come out and show your support. The casino folks would love it. I know I would appreciate it. And I know everyone that's worked hard to try to get their voices heard, to not be the silent majority, to try to be, the loud minority, because we're the minority because we're the ones not working. Hats off to the folks from Tauga Downs and Del Lago and Vernon Downs for organizing and getting this together, for jumping up and standing up and doing the right thing and taking the lead and putting a Facebook page together to help start organizing and getting the word out. There's been several articles written in the last 5-7 days hinting at this, local, regional, and national articles. I've seen a lot of casino magazines are picking up on it. News stories are picking up on it. Get out and let the governor know that this is wrong. This is wrong on so many levels, and I will cover that here in a few minutes as we get moving on. But I just want to put the plug in for the rally tomorrow. Again, I can't say it enough. August 20th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. West Capitol Park. It's strolling across the bottom, 85 Swan Street, Albany. Along with that, these folks that started the grassroots program with Facebook and going from there have also created a online petition through change.org. And let me switch up and give you that information. And we're going to go with that. And it's right there at the bottom. I'll let that scroll for a while as I talk. But at change.org, there is an online petition. I believe we have not we, but they have collected close to 2,900 signatures. And I think we're still looking for another 2,500-ish more. But we'll take as many as we can get. And when I use we, I mean the folks at Vernon Downs, at Del Lago, at Tioga Downs, at all the other casinos in New York. They're still shut down. And it's just the New York State casinos. The tribal casinos, Turning Stone, Salamanca, Seneca, they're open. They're open and going. They got their guidelines in place, which I'm sure probably very similar to what our guidelines are. And they're up and running. And they've been up and running probably for 2 weeks at least now. At least 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe. And there's been no huge spikes. There's been no huge outbreaks. No one wants a spike. No one wants this thing to get any more out of control of what it is. But to continue to not only devastate the entire economy, to single out these 5,000 citizens of New York and just tell them that your livelihood doesn't matter. Your family doesn't matter. Everyone else does, because everyone else has been allowed to go back to work. But you folks, no, we can't trust you to do what the right thing to do, and therefore take it upon ourselves to make you do the right thing by not letting you do anything at all. This is crazy governing, because it's governing by executive order, by executive emergency order. Everything, right? We're still under emergency orders from the state of New York, and this is how he gets away with it. This is how the governor is able to dictate things that may make no sense, would never have gotten through a normal process of a law. But with emergency powers, hey, I can do what I want. I'm the governor of New York State. So, again, Albany tomorrow, rally. If you're nearby, if you're in Albany, if you're nearby Albany, if you're an hour from Albany, go up, show your support. I'm not sure who else will be there because everyone else is working now. So it's just the casino people that aren't. So it'll be most of the casino people up there. But if you support your casinos, you want them back open, now's the time to show your support and jump in there. If you can't attend the rally, jump on change.org and get this petition signed, and we can at some point ship it up to the governor. And it may not do any good, but we have to give it a try. You can't bitch and moan if you stand around and do nothing. So please send a petition, show up at the rally, do one, do other, do both. We really want to make our voices heard, make ourselves known to what's going on with this. So moving on. It's day 157 by my count. That may be give or take a day or two, but we've been locked down. We've been locked out for 157 days. Coming up on the 6-month mark, and that is a very painful place for us to be, because at 6 months we go from being furloughed to being terminated as employees of a casino in New York State. Give or take a week or two. Depends on when your casino actually stopped paying you and you had to get on board with New York State unemployment and things like that. Speaking of unemployment, so during the bulk months of April, May, June, and July, the federal government stepped in and kicked in an extra $600 a week to those employees that were without a job through no fault of their own. And it helped. We helped. A lot of full-time people had extra expenses that were no longer being considered. First of all, unemployment in New York, if you're making half pay, you're lucky. Some people it was even less than half pay. So they're making half pay to begin with, and then they still have things like healthcare and other insurances that were benefits that were deducted out on a normal basis, on a weekly basis, that now were coming out of their pocket. So the extra money helped there. But just in New York State, not the federal money, just state money, unemployment, the 5,000 plus casino workers that are still unemployed create a bill of $2 million a week. $2 million a week in unemployment. So that's $2 million a week in unemployment money, and that's got to come out and go to the 5,000 plus people that are working to keep their sanity, working to trying to get through this and then to the next paycheck. So keep in mind that a lot of money is being tallied up every week because 5,000 employees are not allowed to go back to work. So there's that. There is the revenue. Our state is hurting. Governor says it every day. Every day he's in his meeting, televised update. Every day, state's hurting for money. State's hurting for money. State's hurting for money. Casinos in New York State are a cash cow, a cash crop that they're letting die on the vine. There is the revenue from casino licenses, which they already have. There is the revenue from winnings, which get taxed. But there's also revenue they get from the casinos every day. For every hour a table is open. So if your casino has 20 tables and they're open, the state's getting some kind of, and I'll call it a kickback, some kind of cut off that table. And it's a flat rate. It's an established flat rate that so many dollars are paid to the government, the state government, for every hour that table is up and running. Whether it's got players or doesn't have players, you're still going to pay New York State X number of dollars for every hour, every day that table is up and running. And right now, they're getting nothing. So let's just conservatively say that every day, if you were to tally up all the casinos that owe them state table kickback money, let's just say it makes $1 million for every 2 casinos. Let's do the math. Let's say conservatively 7. Let's say 7 million a day isn't finding its way to the state and the treasury to pay for things. 7 a day times 7 days is 49. Let's just giggles, round it up. Let's round that 49 up to 50 million. So 50 million a week is being ignored. Not even interested in putting 50 million a week back into the tax rolls, back into the treasury, back into whatever slush fund he's got going on up there. So there's the economic side to this. And hold on a second, I will keep talking. I need to do a quick math real quick because I think I may have given the unemployment number wrong now that I'm thinking about things. And let me just double check. And 5,200 times 400. Nope, I did not. 2 million. 2 million. I was right. I don't know why I doubt myself. I hate it, but it's tough when you're always right. So 2 million a week being paid out in unemployment. Another 7 million a week being lost in revenue. That's 9. Again, 10 million a week. 10 million a week. 7 million a day. 49, 51. So 51 million is a solid number. So we're going to go with 51 million. And so we're net losing 51 million every week. The casinos aren't back up and going. And we cry and piss and moan that we have no money in the state coffers. So, with that being said, we're going to move on to the next topic. New York State. If you were to look at our numbers, and this is going back to Cuomo saying that basically casinos can't be trusted to do the right thing and keep the numbers low. If you were to look at our numbers, and again, not pointing figures, there'll be plenty of time for that when it's all said and done. But New York State itself is number 7 in the world, not just the country, but number 7 in the world for death toll. That means there are 6 other countries that have lost more people than our state, but then our state jumps into the international stage and says our 33,000 dead makes us the 7th biggest group to have dead folk. And that's just crazy. They're nationwide. The next closest state is New Jersey with almost 16,000 dead, and we're still beating them 2-1. And yet our governor claims that this is he was the one that was on the ball and he was ahead of the game and he's done a great job. National Democratic Convention is going on right now, and it's interesting because they've had a variety of speakers at the convention, and they have been very vocal about what to do, what not to do, who's right, who's wrong, the whole 9 yards. I want to put up this quote from our governor that was said a few nights ago at the convention. And there it is. Americans' eyes have been opened, and we have seen in this crisis the truth that government matters, that leadership matters, and it determines whether we thrive and grow or whether we live or die. Live or die. So, Governor Cuomo makes a national speech saying that government matters and leadership matters. And I would agree. Government matters, leadership matters. Government matters. I want to thank the federal government for jumping in and trying to make sure that, at least for a while, the ones that were displaced for no fault of their own were compensated. And I know the essential workers hate it, and they can't stand the fact that they had to work and got regular pay, and the ones that were unemployed got more. And I'm hoping they can do something down the road to fix that. But right now, it is what it is. Leadership matters. Absolutely, leadership matters. And coming out of the gate, governor seemed strong. Seemed like he had a grip on things. It was scary. It was scary that he was the one taking the lead. But that quickly fell apart. In almost shortly after Cuomo came out strong, then things started to unravel, and he couldn't get things done, and he was asking for help. And the federal government sent in a Navy hospital ship, the USS Comfort. They came in and they did the conversions on the Javits Center because the models and predictions on who was going to be sick and the hospitalization. The panic was the hospitals were going to be overflowed and overrun, and they needed places to put people. And we got all that done. They got all that done, and they maybe used 1%, if that, of the Javits. And I don't even think they used 1% of the capacity of the Comfort to help stem the tide. And then it came out that the models might have been off. It may not be as bad as we thought, but it's too late. Too late. Decisions were made that were horrible decisions. The one that's still haunting our governor right now, as far as decisions, is the fact that he opted, instead of using the overflow areas, to send patients, elderly patients, and we know that the elderly were the most susceptible. We've heard that from day one, that the old were going to have the biggest problems with this virus, and this still haunts our governor even today. This is a newspaper article from the 11th. New York's true nursing home death toll cloaked in secrecy. Cloaked in secrecy. It was a failure. It was a mistake. And I will tell you, this is a trend that I'm seeing, and I think other people are seeing it. And we're not. No one's calling it out. New York State is doubling down every day on this, and they're doubling down on mistakes they made, hoping that no one notices it. And we do. I do. I'm sure other people do. Sending people back to nursing homes was a mistake. Not opening up businesses before now is a mistake. I will tell you, not opening the casinos is a mistake. There's something else going on. This is no longer about the virus. This is no longer about keeping people safe. This is all a political boondoggle. And it's all about politics now. And as always, the ones that suffer are the people that put these politicians in office. The fact that casinos aren't open. Let's look at the timeline. So March 16th, the pause. New York State is put on pause. And let me pull up a quick chart that will show what we were looking at with all this. All right, there we go. And there it is. All right. So this is from New York State's own website, own database. This is the picture we're looking at. So the blue is testing. Okay, and this is huge. The top line here is 90K. Bottom is 0. So it goes 0 in increments 10, 10, 20, 30 on up to 90. Blue is testing. Yellow is positive cases. All right, so we can see, and let me get rid of some of these banners so we can see everything. Let me get rid of this. So starting the cases start. We get into March, we get into mid-March, things start to spike, and we put everything in pause. And we're told March 16th, we're going to pause, and our experts say that we need to give it 2 weeks to flatten the curve. So 2 weeks come and go, and it's still going up. Another 2 weeks come and go, still going up. Another 2 weeks after that, still going up. It isn't until May 15th that we unpause and allow phase 1 to happen. Almost 2 months, 60 days into this, not 14 days, not 15 days, almost 4 times the projected amount, and we start phase 1. And then roughly 2 weeks later, we do phase 2. And a few weeks after that, we do phase 3. And things are going smooth. I get it. Things are going through. We are now into June now. We are into June. So if we look on the graph, you can see June, things are looking pretty good. June 1st, middle of June, there's a really, you probably can't even see it unless your monitor is really big. There's a real faint yellow line at the bottom of all that blue. And that's the number of positive cases they're seeing per day. Okay. And then June 28th hits. And June 20th was supposed to be the phase 4 for everyone. And people were gearing up, getting ready. I know casinos were starting to do testing to see if workers had COVID and precautions. And the 28th comes and goes, and only about half the businesses that were supposed to open in phase 4 open in phase 4. And of course, casinos wasn't one of them. So now we're into July. And things are getting a little dicey. We're gonna lose that extra money here shortly, and our bills aren't going to change. We're going to lose the extra money though. And there's still no. We flattened it. We not only did we flatten the curve, we decimated the curve. We grabbed that curve and we straightened it out, and it's staying low, and we're doing tons and tons and tons of tests. If you look at this chart, all that blue is testing. You can't even see the positive cases. There's so much testing going on. Okay. And that is that. So take a look at a little closer detail since July 1st. So obviously this is narrowing down on the yellow, which is the positive. Keep in mind all that blue is testing, and that's the yellow. There's tons of testing, and there's very few positives coming back. And if there's hiccups, and I'll tell you, these hiccups where you see a little dip and it spikes up, where it goes up, if you look at the blue goes up well. So there's more testing done that day. So on a percentage, on a ratio, there are a consistent amount of positives being found for the amount of testing being done. And that's a lot of testing being done at this point. They're testing a boatload of people and finding small positives. To give you an idea, April 14th, which was probably one of the highest days for positives, not testing, because on April 14th, they only tested 27,000 people. And of that, 11.5 thousand came back positive. So on April 14th, we were right in the middle of the pandemic, the emergency. Yesterday, August 18th, they tested 80.5 thousand people. 80,000. And we'll round down, we'll call it 80,000 people. And only 631 were positive. So we haven't eradicated the disease. There's no way we could eradicate the disease because there's no cure, there's no vaccine, there's no nothing, and they can't even agree what helps treat it and what helps make it go away. So we tripled, let's call it tripled, the number of tests. So we did testing 300 times more people and had positives that were from 11,000 down to 600. So think about those numbers as well and ask yourself, how is it possible? How is it possible that we are such dire straits that we can't open our casinos? We can't open our casinos and put our people back to work, put money back in our coffers, and get the state back where it needs to be. The governor is hoping for a bailout from Washington. He is hoping for a $5.5 billion bailout from Washington to fix his budget. And I get it. Like him, hate him, whatever. Trump's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. And he's not buying into it. And I guess part of my question is, he talks about leadership. And I got a problem with a leader that publicizes the fact that the state's broke and been broke for a while, yet still takes a pay raise for himself and a pay raise for the rest of the legislature. Governor Cuomo, at the end of 2021, will be the highest paid governor in the country. $250,000 a year this man's making. Took his raise and told other state employees, like correctional officers, hey, you know what? I ain't got money. You're not getting your contract raises this year. Maybe not next year. And I know you've been waiting for them. And I don't know how many other state employees that had money that they were owed, that was promised, that was in a union contract, whatever, that basically our politicians took their raise and said, sucks to be you. So that's, explain to me how this is leadership. And to top it all off, we are still in the midst of this pandemic, this crisis, whatever you want to call it. And again, I don't question the COVID virus. I do not think COVID is made up. I think some of the numbers might be, but COVID's not the hoax. It's the hype. The hype is the hoax. The panic is the hoax. That's what the hoax is. That's what the false flag is. Not the virus. I mean, I will not deny that people are dying from COVID. And what's sad is that we will probably never know the true numbers. Because there was money involved. Hospitals and other institutions that had to deal with things that were COVID related got money. They got more money. So a lot of deaths were related that were called COVID. If you had a heart attack and you were also tested positive for COVID, you got COVID. Sometimes they didn't bother testing. Yeah, he was in the hospital, probably had COVID. We're going to mark this up to COVID because the state's going to give us X number of dollars for every COVID patient we had. Hey, I get it, but is it really how we should be doing things? You gotta ask yourself, at what point do we have to buckle down and say right is right, wrong is wrong? We need to admit there were some mistakes made. We need to admit that we maybe overreacted to this whole thing. And it's over, it's done. We can't go back and change it. But this maybe wasn't as big a deal as we thought it was. Unfortunately, no one did that. When we saw that the death rate wasn't going to be up there, that the infection rate wasn't going to be up there, that I think in New York it might be a little high of people that tested positive, maybe 5% actually were, or let me rephrase that, of the ones that tested, only 5% tested positive. And it's less nationwide. I think it's 3% or something along those lines. And the mortality rate nationally is less than 1%. It's like a common flu type year, which a lot of people die from flu every single year. A lot of people die from flu, pneumonia every single year. A lot of people die from a lot of other things every single year. And we're not freaking out, and we're not putting all kinds of constraints. We're not trashing our economy. We're not living in a state of fear that we really shouldn't be living in. And it's time we get out of this. Mistakes, like I said, mistakes were made. We're still, according to anyone you ask, we're still in the pandemic. We're still in the caution phase. We're still got to be careful. This isn't over by a long shot. Emergency powers are still in place. So obviously it's not over. Emergency powers are still in place. But I will write a book about my leadership skills. And that's what our boy did. Comes out sometime in October. American Crisis. Leadership Lessons Learned from the COVID-19 Pandemic. Andrew Cuomo. Talk about arrogant. If no one realized this man was arrogant before now, talk about arrogant. We're not even through the crisis. According to anyone you ask in politics, we're not even through this crisis yet. And this clown is writing a book about his leadership lessons learned. I hope he's got good and bad in there. I would almost buy the book to see if he was actually honest about what he wrote. Sending old people back to a place where it's all old people that have COVID, and then, can't figure out why 12, 13, 14,000 elderly in nursing homes died. Doubled down. He doubled down a lot. And instead of saying, hey, you know what, we overreacted on this, it's time to fix a couple things, let's get back on track, double down, killing the economy, just trying to distract from the fact that he's making mistakes. And now, if I wouldn't have a problem if 2 months ago we would have done something. July. Let's go back 2 months. July, when it's obvious that we're testing 50, 60, 70, 80,000 people a day in New York State, and only several hundred are showing positive, that we need to get things open back up. We're probably safe. We can open things back up. It would take such a huge hit to spike it at this point. And this is all about overwhelming the hospitals. We're 5 months in, and we don't have the hospital set up to handle this kind of thing. So if another pandemic starts tomorrow, another legitimate pandemic, are our hospitals ready or not? And my guess is, because numbers being so low, we're still keeping things shut down. I'm guessing the hospitals aren't going to be ready. So what did we learn? What did we do? Not making a whole lot of sense to me as far as leadership lessons learned. Hopefully, we learned the plus and the minuses. I found this quote from a I believe it's like a magazine or something like that. But I found this one to be ironically funny. And the quote is, Andrew Cuomo writing a book on his successful crisis management of New York during the COVID pandemic is like Jeffrey Dahmer writing a cookbook, The Rubicon. So Jeffrey Dahmer writing a cookbook, which is kind of funny. And I will tell you, if Jeffrey Dahmer wrote a cookbook, I'm thinking it would probably sell more copies than Governor Cuomo is going to sell. This is not his first book. He wrote another book. He wrote his memoirs a while back. Got an advance from the publisher for $700,000, and I believe it sold about 3,000 copies. I don't know what the price of the book was at a bookstore, but $700,000 and only sold 3,000 copies. That's roughly $230-ish a book that he made. That publisher had to have taken a bath. That was definitely a write-off come tax time for that publisher. So again, yeah, probably not a good deal for them. Hopefully the next publisher does well. Hopefully this book does well. I'm sure it will, especially when you publish it right in the middle, in the midst of a pandemic that's still going on. I'm sure people are going to buy it just to see what this guy has to say. So yeah, I can't stress enough. That the casinos need to open. And that's part of what this was. I didn't have any guests lined up. I didn't want to put the folks from the casinos on the spot because no one's looking to, and not that he's even watching this, and not that anyone's going to send him a copy of this podcast or video cast. But I didn't want to put any of the people on the spot for saying anything that might have been taken wrong, either by a person watching or a person that sees it later, or the casinos, and putting them in a bad spot. I, on the other hand, I'm going to speak my mind. This is me talking as a citizen, as a podcaster, not as a casino dealer. Although this issue is near and dear to me, because I am familiar with the industry. So please, tomorrow, let's get this up. So tomorrow, again, August 20th, Thursday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., West Capitol Park. Albany, which is 85 Swan Street. Get in there. Get up there if you can. August 20th, Thursday, 11 a.m. Yeah, that's me talking. Get in there. Show your support. If you cannot make it to Albany, at least jump on change.org and sign the petition. And I know this link says Tioga Downs Casino, but the petition's for all the casinos. This is just Tioga Downs link that I grabbed and threw on there. It'll take you where you need to go. And again, if we can just get one casino open, they'll all have to open. But right now, nationwide, they've all opened. Casinos in PA, casinos in Connecticut, casinos in Massachusetts have opened. New York State is the last holdout. Out of 900 casinos across the nation, the New York State casinos are closed. The other 880 odd other casinos have opened up their doors and are doing business and generating money for their states. The casinos in New York are not open. Travel casinos are open, but my understanding is it's sovereign land, so that money doesn't really go to the state. And if it does, I don't understand that much about the casinos on Indian land. But if it does, I guarantee it's not a whole lot of money because they're sovereign lands, and why would they give Cuomo or New York State anything after we took the land from them in the first place? So I'm going to ask again, Albany, tomorrow, the 20th, 11-1 at the 85 Swan Street location. I would look for a big group of people. Hoping it's a big group of people. If nothing else, look for me, bald guy, glasses, sitting somewhere near there, yelling out my chants and letting the governor know how I feel. Hopefully, there's a lot more people doing that. I know there's buses coming from the Tyward Down area. I know people are posting that they're carpooling to get there. Vernon Downs, I know, have at least a bus going, and we need to get that out there that this is wrong. This is wrong on so many levels, and I'm just hoping that between now and 2020, 2022, must be 2022 when governor's seat comes up for election again. Someone remembers. A lot of people remember, and understand. If you really think this guy did a great job with the leadership of this pandemic, take a look around. Take a look around at other states, what other governors did, and understand he was the most visible. He was the most flamboyant. He was the most, look at me, look what I'm doing. I'm going to be in your face every single day for the last 157 days to let you know what I'm doing and what my problems are and make you feel sorry for me. But don't buy into it. Don't buy into it. For what it's worth, don't buy into this mailing your vote in. If you don't want to stand in line, by all means, get an absentee ballot, but drop it off in person. Don't trust the Postal Service. And I'm not saying that because of Trump, but I'm not saying that because of anything else that's going on. I just, they're every year, every single freaking year, every single freaking election, there's a horror story about mail-in ballots that were lost in the mail, that showed up in a storage unit someplace, that were in the back of a mail truck, where you see a video of a postal officer dumping mail. I mean, not even ballot, just dumping mail. And again, not all postal people are bad. Just like not all cops are bad. Just like not all black people are bad. But there's that small group that rotten apple spoils the barrel, or however that saying goes. If you do get a mail-in because you don't want to stand in line, I get that. But take the time to find out where you have to deliver it in person, and don't, for the love of God, trust the U.S. Postal Service to get that important piece of paper. Whether you're voting Republican, you're voting Democrat, independent, liberal, libertarian, whatever. Elections matter. And we got one coming up November 3rd. And then we got one coming up in a couple of years. And we need to stand up and take accountability for our actions. And I can blame Cuomo as much as I like for things that are going on right now, but the fact is we elected him, or we allowed him to be elected through our inaction. But get out there, get it done, sign the petition. I will be posting all this information on the Let's Talk It All page on Facebook. I will also put a special link in the Let's Talk It All website, which is letstalkitall.com. If you need to connect with me directly, it's LTIA radio show at gmail.com. And let us know what you're doing, what you're thinking. And with that, I'm going to put an end to this special podcast. Again, Jeff's normally here, but he's being an essential worker today. His job has been essential. He's been busting his butt for 157 days while I've been loafing it out of work. So I appreciate what Jeff does. And hopefully he and I will get together here eventually and get our own broadcast up and going. But I want to get this out today before the rally tomorrow to try to generate a little interest. For the 2 people that have been watching on Facebook, thank you very much. Hopefully there were some others watching on YouTube, and maybe some other view parties got started. But see everyone tomorrow. I'll be driving up, and I'll be looking to do some live broadcasts from the scene, and we'll discuss what's going on and how it looks. So have a great day. Stay safe. Stay healthy. And if you can help us out. I appreciate it. Thanks.